Hello and welcome. My name's Tim and this is Blamethedicewargaming. Today we've got a Star Wars Legion battle report view, 800 points. We are playing Orson Krennic versus a Rebleofficer who is supported by both Luke and Sabine as operatives. It's going to be a really good game, both very competitive lists, certainly something I would be very comfortable fielding had this been a proper game in a game store or a tournament. But yeah, a very kind of good bit of fun set of lists. Please watch, enjoy, and stay for the end. Give me any comments and critique that you would like to do, and I'll be very glad to hear from them. Anyway, thank you very much for watching. Enjoy. See you in a second. And this is the table that we're going to be playing on. When I build tables, I try to create a narrative in my head, even if it's not necessarily going to be anything that will factor into the game. But I like the idea of this being a desert shanty town outpost that have been heavily bombed and fought over. That's why I've got all the explosive markers, that's why I've got all the smoke billowing out, and just the kind of crates and stuff stacked up randomly around the outside. And yeah, just trying to give it the idea of something that has been heavily contested and fought over, and this is going to be the ground attack. So now that we've had a look around the table, I think it's time to discuss the terrain that we've got. There is no shortage of what's going to be unarguably heavy terrain. So we're going to give you heavy cover the buildings, quite a few of them, and then two off in the top left. So they're all going to be heavy cover, as are any of the walls that are part of them, and of course any barricades with them. Now, it doesn't get used a lot, but I'm going to be doing a lot of difficult terrain here. So we've got where we've got the craters, some there, a very large one there, and a smattering of them around here. They're all going to be difficult terrain. These I'm going to call light cover, so there's a few of them. So the one over here. The Crash X-Wings, one there, and one here, are going to be heavy terrain, heavy cover rather. And I think that should just about cover it all. So, we will have a look at the armies, and then we will get to turn 0 and picking what the battle deck is going to look like. So, the Empire are running Director Orson Krennic in command with strict orders and commanding presence. He has an entourage of 2 squads of Death Troopers, both with the config weapon, grappling hooks, the DLT 19D, and offensive push. Moving on, we have a squad of Snow Troopers, rocking a flamethrower, recon intel, frag grenades, and the Imperial Officer, just to give them that morale boost. They have a squad of Shore Troopers, who are running with the T-21B heavy weapons upgrade, a comms technician, who has provided them with HQ uplink and Overwatch, and then we've got a naked mortar launcher on their own. We have 2 squads of Stormtroopers, both with an extra trooper, but that is it. And then lastly, 2 squads of scouts in the strike team config, both with the DLT 19 sniper rifle. And from a squad loadout point of view, we have got 1 commander, 4 troopers, and 4 support units. Now, the reason why you can do 4 is because Orson Krennic has entourage, which means you can ignore the ranks of one of the Death Troopers, giving us that 4th one there. And the Rebels are running Luke Skywalker Operative with Saber Throw, Battle Meditation, Force Push, and Duck and Cover. Also running Sabine Wren, who's got the Dark Saber, Personal Combat Shield, and the Electro Grappling Line. There are 3 squads of snipers, no upgrades other than the sniper rifle in the command team. In command, they've got for a solo Rebel officer on his Todd, so an interesting choice. And for troop support, there is 3 squads of Rebel troopers, bare bones, except they've all got recon intel. And then lastly, there's fleet troopers who are running the scattergun, the Rebel officer upgrade, and recon intel. And from an army selection point of view, there's 1 commander, 2 operatives, 4 troopers, and 3 special forces. Both sides are running at 797 points apiece. The lists are included in the links to Tabletop Admail, so should you want to go and check them out. But we rolled for it, and we're going with the Empire's deck. So, this is the state of things. and it's Empire as the blue player, so they're to go first. The Empire eliminate major offensive. The Rebel player eliminates breakthrough. Recognising that the Rebels have Sabine men and Luke Skywalker, the Empire remove battle lines to allow them to focus in their gun line on one side of the table. So this is the shape of deployment. There's essentially going to be a 3x3 field in the middle that is unclaimed, where we're going to be fighting over. It's going to be clear conditions, there's going to be nothing interfering with play, and we're playing key positions. Key positions requires us to set up 3 objective tokens. One is placed in the middle of the battlefield, then starting with the blue player, so the Empire, each player places 1 objective token on a piece of terrain. Each token must be placed on a piece of terrain that is completely outside of all deployment zones and being beyond range 1 of any other piece of the terrain with an objective token. If the player is unable to place a token according to these rules, they can place that token on any piece of terrain that does not have an objective token, and that is outside of all the deployment zones. The token still cannot be placed, then it is not placed. Victory. At the end of the game, for each terrain piece with an objective token, the player who has the most unit leaders in base contact with the terrain piece gains 1 victory token. The key positions are now in place. Per the rules, the first one to go down was this one right in the middle. This couldn't have been more perfectly located unless it was actually on that middle line there, but that's the first one to go down. The Empire placed their objective token on that rocky outcrop outside of the deployment zones and within outside of range 1 from this one. The Rebels had a harder time. Their deployment zone finishes here, and that straight line cuts all the way through that building, and that is one big piece of terrain, and also includes that rocky outcrop there as well. So the best they could do was to place it outside of range 1 of another objective marker, and had to place it on this building here. And 2 deployments. So the Empire's blue player, they've placed its first squad in the bottom left of the screen there. You can see it just next to the objective token. That is squad 1 of stormtroopers placed. The Rebel player places a squad of rebels in now the bottom left screen, and they've recon intel'd a speed 1 forwards heading towards the building in the middle. The Empire players deploy another squad of stormtroopers, that's squad 2, just behind a barricade in the middle of the table. And the Rebel player deploys a squad of troopers who recon intel forward at speed 1 and tuck themselves in behind this building. Now the shore troopers have been deployed. They have deployed to the left of the deployment zone and have recon intel 1 forward to start advancing behind that building, which on the other side you can make out the key position marker. The next deployment is another Rebels troop squad who recon intel down here and are advancing towards the centre of the field. The forces seem to be massing on this side of the table somewhat, as speed 1 from the shore troopers we have deployed a mortar launcher trooper which seems to have a decent line on the table. Let's just see if range 4 will be decent enough, far enough to get any impact through. Next to deploy was the Rebel fleet troopers who once again recon intel forwards and seem to be advancing around the side of this building. This time the snow troopers have been deployed using recon intel to advance forwards by 1 to get behind the building. Deploying next for the Rebels is their commander. There he is on his Todd. I know that's the leader of the veterans squad, but whilst we had other kind of unit leaders who were the same model, we decided it'd be nicer to go for something a little bit distinctive, a bit different. The Empire deploy a strike team on the left, and they do scout 1 to advance forwards. Unsurprisingly, with the makings of a sniper war coming up, the next squad to deploy was the Rebel strike team, who used their scout 2 to advance forwards and are heading straight for the snipers on the other side of the table. Next to deploy is the scout troopers, who scout 1 up into a good position. The Rebels deploy the next to their scouts, who, instead of advancing any further beyond their deployment zone, only move so far as to touch this building. Possibly sniper nest in our future? The first of our 2 Death Trooper squads deploying down on the right hand side, looking like they're trying to avoid any sniper lane. The next rebel unit to go down was another strike team with snipers who scouted forward too to set up a nice sniper lane down this side of the table. The next Death Trooper squad set up pretty much in the middle of the table between all the action. So the first of our big characters deployed, we've got Operative Luke Skywalker down here, who is right on the very edge of the deployment zone. Looks like he might be planning to do some jumping around very early on. Our last Imperial deployment was Director Orson Krennic, who is bang smack in the middle of the deployment, facing down the middle of the table. And our last deployment is Sabine Wren, who is right there next to Luke at the very front of their deployment zone. I think we're going to see an awful lot of jumping. Let's just check out the battlefield. Yeah, this is going to be a game where it gets hot fast, I think. Okay, command hand phase. Rebels, Empire. Okay, right, Rebels have gone with standing orders, which just issues an order to 1 unit. There's a 4-pip card. The Empire have gone for a 3-pip card, so in priority, which is an order to Director Orson Krennic and 2 units. This will, I think you can tell what's going to happen by the art on the card here, but essentially each enemy trooper unit gains 1 suppression token. If it was round 5 or 6, they would gain 2. So at the start of turn 1, the Empire gave their order tokens to Orson Krennic, as expected by the card, and then to both squads of Death Troopers. The Rebels gave their order token to Sabine Wren. We are at the start of turn 1, orders have been issued and we're about to make our first move. So the Empire pulled from the bag and pulled out a trooper token. It was given to the Shore Trooper, and the logic behind that was ultimately its range 4 isn't enough to start getting shots in against the snipers, but is in range 5 of them for getting shots, so it's moving out of the way. The Rebels drew from the bag and got their commander. Was unsuccessful rolling off the suppression, however he's got a courage value of 2, so it's irrelevant. And for his action, he is moving forward at speed of 2, and he's going to use take cover to give the sniper to his left a dodge token. The Empire drew from the bag and pulled out another trooper, going with the Stormtroopers, who are going to make a simple move into cover behind there, and will roll off suppression, and if they make it, they will dodge. The Rebel player goes to the bag and pulls out a special forces rather, and go for these snipers, see if we can roll off suppression, which they do. And now they're going to aim and shoot at the sniper across the table. The Rebel sniper has an aim token and is going to aim down the line for the scout trooper, who is not in cover, however does a suppression token, but due to sharpshooter 1 will bring that down to no cover. Let's roll some dice. Spend the aim token for 1 crit. The crit would have cancelled cover anyway, but we'll roll defense dice. Nothing, but even so they had pierce 1, so that sniper is off, but due to the unit leader rules, they will be replacing them there. So the sniper stays on the board, but takes another suppression. The Empire pull from their bag and get another trooper, this time the Shore Troopers, who don't roll suppression. They will now move into base contact with this building, though this is not the objective scoring building, because unfortunately the terrain that had the objective marker on it is separate to this building, just on the other side of it. The rebels pull from the bag and pull special forces, which is going to be given to this sniper unit here, which, as it's in base contact with the building, would form a climb action and will just elevate themselves up the top of here. I will place this unit in cohesion with it. We forgot to roll for suppression, however they've got courage value of 2, so it would have made no difference. However, that's been done now and they did roll a surge, so we've removed that suppression from them. The Empire pull from the bag, pull special forces token, and we'll go for these snipers. Roll for suppression, which they keep, but they've got courage value of 2, so they'll still get 2 actions. First action will be to move. The snipers have moved out of cover, and for the second action they are taking a shot at the rebel sniper, who has just gone up into the sniper nest, whose head we can just see. Sniper rolls 2 blacks, 1 hit and 1 miss. Their sharpshooter brings it down to light cover, however that will be cancelled, so no damage. The rebels pulled from the bag, got another trooper. They weren't able to roll off their suppression, so all they're going to do is do 1 move and move across to the building. So now the rebel troops have moved, they are in base contact with the building with the objective marker on it. The Empire pull from the bag, pulling another trooper, who failed to roll off suppression. The stormtroopers move from behind the barricade out of line of sight. The rebels pull from the stack, pulling another trooper unit, which was given to this squad. They failed to roll off their suppression, so they'll just move forward behind the building. The rebels now have 2 commanders in base-to-base contact with the building with the objective marker on top. The Empire goes with Orson Krennic. Roll off his suppression, not like it mattered, and he will move 1 speed over the barricade, and then a second full speed to get behind this wall. The rebels pull from the stack and get another trooper, which will be this squad over here in yellow. They were able to roll off to their suppression, so they will get 2 moves. Finishing their move quite aggressively, the rebels are very, very close to a lot of squads, but will force some action next turn, no doubt. Next to go is the Death Troopers, who do roll their suppression, not like it mattered, as they have a courage value of 2. And they're moving once and twice into some heavy cover, but very much into the thick of things for turn 2. The rebels draw from the bag and pull an operative. That has to be Luke Skywalker, who does not roll suppression, but with a courage value of 4, or what does it matter? Luke Skywalker, coming into the game strong, is going to start off by doing a speed 2 jump over this building. Luke is able to clear the building by the most narrow of margins and lands on the other side of it behind some heavy cover. You can only do 1 jump per turn, so Luke does a speed 1 manoeuvre over what is difficult terrain. Luke is in now a very commanding position for the upcoming turns and what is certainly going to be a heavily fought contest. Something has just been noticed in relation to the cards that Luke was shown with earlier on. The list has him with Jedi Mind Trick, not Battlefield Meditation. That came up because we went to check if he was in range 2 of the Death Troopers to give them suppression tokens. However, he is marginally out by about 2 centimeters, so that isn't happening. The Empire pull from the bag and pull out their last special forces, which is this sniper in the corner. He rolls to remove suppression and is able to remove 1. He moves behind this rocky outcrop to get some heavy cover, and will try to return the favour to the enemy snipers downfield. Rolling 2 black dice for an attack. 2 hits. Cancel 1 for light cover, because that's what they'll have after you use sharpshooter. And the rebels will roll 1 white defense dice. And they do not make it. 1 dead rebel. The rebels pull from the bag and pull their last trooper, which will be the fleet troopers over here. They fail to roll off their suppression, but as they do have the unit lead upgrade, they do have Inspire 1 and a courage value of 2, so it doesn't really matter. And to Inspire 1, they'll just take a suppression off these guys. The fleet troopers are going to move once and twice, and they are now well situated for what is shaping up to be a very messy second turn. The Empire only have 1 order token left in the bag, and the other order token is there on the next to the Death Troopers. There is a sniper across the table who has not gone yet and is causing these guys some problems. So because of that, the Snow Troopers are going to go and just have to try to get out of cover, into cover rather, and out of fire from the sniper. They didn't roll for suppression, but like the fleet troopers, they have the Imperial Officer, so that means that they're able to have a courage value of 2 and perform a rally, which means they'll take it from the Death Troopers. And I've moved into an opposing position to counter the rebel advance. And this is how they finish their turn, very much ready for the next turn, but things are going to get very, very heated very, very quickly. The rebels go to the bag again and pull special forces, which has to be this sniper squad. Unfortunately for the snipers, they do not have line of sight on the snow troopers, who did manage to get out of hiding, into hiding, and are just out of range 5 of the Death Troopers. However, they do already have a name token, so they will advance as far as they need to get into range 5 of the Death Troopers, and because they are on the cover, or one of the models are, 50% of them are, so they will still get the benefit of light up to heavy cover, and they have a dodge token. Though now in range, the Death Troopers are most definitely in some heavy cover. The snipers rolled and got a crit and a miss, no aim token to support them. The Death Troopers in response rolled that. However, due to Pierce 1, that is turned into a dead Death Trooper. So the last Imperial unit is the Death Troopers, and the plan was to move forwards and to shoot the sniper at the end of range 4 up there. However, as the only person who was visible to the sniper at the time was the unit leader, he's now moved and swapped with somebody else. So now he's further back enough where they cannot get range even if they move. So their movement's going to change to be probably a little more hide and seek. Because of the setback, the Death Troopers take a more cautious approach. They are very valuable units and will fall quite easily to a sniper with Pierce 1, making that red armour useless. So they are staying very much tucked away for the time being, and will end their turn there. And finally, the rebels have to go with Sabine because there's nothing left in the bag. She has jump 2 and moved at speed 3, so is very much going to do a Luke Skywalker and pole vault this building. Sabine jumps, landing almost exactly where Luke Skywalker does, but has no enemy in range because they're just outside of range 2 and possibly not even visible. So she will move into cover for the next turn. And Sabine finished off her turn in contact with the point scoring building. Don't think she'll be there for long, because I think turn 2 is going to be a very interesting and protracted battle. That is the end of round 1. Fatalities on the Empire side is 1 Death Trooper and 1 Scout Trooper. Fatalities on the Rebel side has just been a single Scout Trooper. On this side of the table, we had the Death Troopers advance and hide behind a building as they couldn't get the shots they wanted to. We had the flame troopers get into quite a good position for what's going to be a interesting next round. Stormtroopers moved and hid, hopefully going to get some action or be able to hold some defensive positions later on. Scouts moved in position to take on the sniper nest across the table, and the other squad of death troopers are right next to the objective marker. On this side of the table, Krennic moved up into the middle of the table, presumably for supporting later on. We had the mortar launch that was up here get down because it was in a vulnerable position, and down at the bottom we had an interchange between a number of scouts shooting, and that's where we had our first loss of the game. The shore troopers moved up and are in a wait and see position. The rebels have a very much similar story to tell in terms of everybody advanced, but here we have a much greater cluster. We have 1 squad, 2 squads, 3 squads, Luke, Sabine, their commander, and a scout unit to the side who have scored a meaningful kill against the death troopers. And on this side of the table, we've got the scout troopers who got up into a sniper nest up there and had some exchange of fire below. We've got some sniper troopers down here who managed to take out and score first blood for the game. A Empire sniper across the table. And here we've got the yellow trooper unit squad who are proving not to be so yellow as they have stormed right into the middle of the game and now are going to be on the receiving end of a lot of fire later on, because down that way is where the stormtroopers and the death troopers and the flame troopers, I say flame troopers, I mean snow troopers, all are. Here we are at the start of turn 2 and we're about to reveal our command cards. The Empire has gone with deploy the garrison and the rebels have gone with full of surprises, both to Pip. However, Orson Krennic does have the keyword of cunning, effectively giving him the win automatically here, so we don't need to roll off for this one. And a closer look at the cards. Luke Skywalker's full of surprises issues 1 order token to Luke himself. Luke gains 1 dodge token. While defending, he rolls a number of additional white dice equal to his courage value, then minus the number of suppression tokens he has. Interesting. And the Empire's card gives an order to 2 troopers. This is deploy the garrison, and at the start of the activation phase, choose up to 2 friendly trooper units that have a face-up order token. Each chosen unit may perform a free standby action. So there's Luke Skywalker with his dodge token per the order card, and he currently has no suppression tokens and a courage value of 4. He is going to have the ability to roll up to 4 additional defense dice at this moment. That is until he starts to get some suppression on him. The Empire issue their order to the snow troopers who take their free standby, and the death troopers who also take their free standby. The Empire need the rebellion to make a move, so they pull from the stack, pulling a trooper unit. The order is given to the trooper squad by the rock with the key position on top of it. They are going to move forwards and then take a standby action, finishing their turn there. There's a similar story on this side of the table. Luke Skywalker sitting there with a token ready to go. However, if he does move, he's going to move into a very precarious position with death troopers and snow troopers with a flamer and frag grenades waiting to make him sorry he did so. Therefore, the rebels draw from the bag and pull Sabine. The unfortunate truth is, out of everything in the rebels' bag, Sabine was the other unit you wouldn't want to pick when you're deliberating what to do. Sabine is going to have to do a jump. She's moving at full speed 3. She's clearing all the units and is going to hopefully tuck in some heavy cover and remain out of line of sight. We will have to go and check that to see if standby is going to have any meaningful impact now. I've had to take my camera out of its stand to do this, to try to get line of sight. The green movement there is basically where Sabine is. I do not believe she is in line of sight from any of these units. So while Sabine has managed to jump into range of both the death troopers and the flame equipped snow troopers for the sake of activating standby. They are not going to use that at this time, as they can't see her and moving might not be very useful at this point. Sabine finished up her move by taking a dodge token, and as the work points now, I suppose if we were playing with the silhouette, she probably would be visible, but whilst this is a casual game and we're not, we're playing with the model itself. The Empire pull from the bag again, and pull a Special Forces unit. This order is issued to the Death Troopers, who will activate Offensive Push, meaning that when they move, they gain Tactical 1, allowing them to take an aim token. The Death Troopers, being excellent warriors, will move precisely as far as they need to be able to get a shot at these snipers. The Death Troopers are in position, they take aim with a long range config and their DLT, and they roll extremely well. That's 4 hits, 5 hits. They'll spend an aim token to re-roll this black dice. Another blank, unfortunately. The snipers are in light cover, but due to low profile that would be hard cover, so 2 of the hits are cancelled, leaving 3 white defense dice to be rolled. They survive 1, but take 2 wounds. That's enough to take the squad off the table. After losing their scouts, the rebels have less in their bag, which they're returning to draw from, pulling a Special Forces token. The Rebel Order token is given to the snipers, who will take an aim and shoot at the Death Troopers, who they've got just about a line of sight to. The snipers fire, they get 1 hit, they need to spend that aim token. They convert to a hit also. 2 hits to go through to the Death Troopers. They'll all go down to 1 hit after light cover, as they have Sharpshooter 1, reducing their cover from heavy to light. The Death Troopers roll their red defense dice, which they whiff. Even if they had made it, the sniper rifle has Pierce 1, so that's 1 dead Death Trooper. And a suppression token. The Empire are feeling good, knowing that it's on the Rebels to make the push and that they've got the numbers and the positions to keep the game in their favour. They pull from the bag, feeling another Special Forces. The order goes to the sniper team, who will take an aim token and try to return fire to the sniper in the nest across the way, who they can just about make out back there. Snipers roll, 2 misses. They'll spend their aim token to try that again. 1 miss, 1 surge. They convert only defensively, 2 misses again. Poor show snipers. Luke is hemmed in there. The rebels need to make something happen if they want to turn the tide of this battle and start bringing their best weapons into the game. They pull from the bag and they pull a trooper unit. Let's see what they can do with this. The rebels issue their orders to the yellow squad deep in the front line. With their sights on the snow troopers, they're going to have to move because they are about half a centimetre outside of range. They will move and cohere and take their shot. The rebels roll 4 black dice against the snow troopers, who are out of cover, and get 2 hits. And in response, snow troopers roll 1 save and 1 miss. That's 1 snowy down and a suppression token. Continuing to hold back, the Empire pull from the stack again. And this time, it's a trooper. The Empire issue their order to their stormtroopers in the foreground. They advance forwards as a unit and take a standby to finish their turn. Things are getting more difficult for the rebels as the pinch point is getting more congested with units with standby tokens waiting to use them. The rebels pull from the bag and get a trooper unit. The order goes to the red squad on the front of their flank. They move with the intention of lighting up the snow troopers. However, the snow troopers have a standby and have just walked straight into it. The snow troopers are equipped with a flamethrower and frag grenades. Both of these are within range 1. However, they have entered range 2 of the squad, as you can see here. Therefore, their first response for their standby will be to move. Now, because of the steady keyword, after you perform a standard move, you may perform a free attack. I think these rebels are going to be brought into close range. Unfortunately not, moving a speed 1 from the commander does not enable them to perform a range 1 attack. It's gonna just have to be their standard white dice. The snowtroopers roll. A hot load of garbage. 5 misses. The rebels are now free to get their second turn and roll 4 black dice. 3 hits will lose 1 none for cover because more of the squad is outside of cover. A mistake there in the way they moved. Slight correction, removed 1 dice because they do have the suppression token, so they do have light cover because of that. Let's see how well they can survive. 1 dies, 1 lives. They gain another suppression token and lose another model. I think that went much better than anticipated. The rebels losing no one, being able to take a snowy down and give it another suppression, which is going to make it less effective, and now it's used its standby, maybe freeing the path for Luke to be daring and to come for them. Now that the snowtroopers have been forced to shoot with little effect, they are going to activate now. So the snowtroopers will activate. They'll roll first of all as a rally step, see if they can clear the suppression. They clear neither. They have a courage value of 2, so they won't flee at this point because the officer gives them that. However, the officer also gives them Inspire 1, so anybody within range 1 to 2, Death Troopers for example, can have a suppression token removed from them. They will now perform a standard move action and finish their turn there, hopefully making the advance of Luke Skywalker a little bit more difficult for him. The rebels are still holding out hope that they can make maximum use out of Luke Skywalker with minimum return to him. They pull from the bag and pull another trooper unit. The order goes to the blue squad at the front, who will make a standard move round the flank. They couldn't complete their move to be able to get a shot on the Death Troopers, but they were able to get into range of the Snow Troopers. The Snow Troopers are going to be in heavy cover no matter how you cut it, but let's see how well 4 black dice do this time. 3 hits down to 1 after heavy cover, and the Snow Troopers roll in response to block it, but do take another suppression token. Still preferring to wait then to spring up the trap, the Empire pull from the bag and get a trooper unit. The Shore Troopers will go next. They are in base contact with the building, so they, being in base contact, will go straight up to the top. And now, due to their height, they have visibility and range on Sabine and some fleet troopers who are yet to go. Luke, however, does remain outside of range. Additionally, they also have line of sight to the yellow squad. However, opting to go with the unit that hasn't gone, they're going to go for the fleet troopers. In position, the short troopers are going to spend their second action to shoot at the fleet troopers, who are in heavy cover. So that's the state of things. They rolled not particularly well. They got 2 crits, which is good, and 2 surges. However, because they're using their heavy weapon, they do have critical 1, meaning one of those surges can be converted to a critical. So that is 3 crits. So no defensive save will come from these in terms of cover, because crits go through cover, which is good news for the Empire, not so good for the fleets. Let's see how the fleets do in response. They blank out, 3 of them are dead and they're suppressed. The rebels are struggling to get momentum. They pull from the bag and pull their commander. The commander is going to move forwards. He's going to inspire 1 to take the suppression off the shore troopers, and he's going to take cover 1 to give Luke a dodge token. The fleet troopers are now suppression free, and Luke has an extra dodge token. The Empire will also pull from the bag, pulling a special forces token. Easily in range, the lone sniper will shoot at the yellow squad at the back. Before that, they will take an aim token, which they will spend for 1. Unfortunately, doing nothing other than giving a suppression token, as they bring them down to light cover, but unfortunately with heavy cover, they still stand there smiling. The rebels are going to pull from the bag again, holding on to Luke till as long as possible, pulling a sniper squad. The last remaining sniper squad is this lone guy over here on his own, so the order has to go to him. To make the shot on the sniper across the field, he's going to have to advance slightly forwards. He'll roll an unassisted white and a black, which he completely blanks out on. His turn kind of in disgrace. Pulling from the bag again, the Empire take another trooper unit. The order token goes to the mortar launcher. Unfortunately, there's not space for him to get up onto that roof, so he can't join his brothers in arms, so he will move around the building. And now he's there, he will take a shot with his standard rifle at the troopers who are there in cover, rolling a single black dice. The rebels are in heavy cover, but they will take another suppression token. The rebels are getting really thin on the ground. The bag has 2 tokens in it. I'm afraid to say that has to be the trooper unit, the fleet trooper unit, because the only other thing it could be is the snipers who were killed early on by the death troopers. We're pulling from the bag, we get the troopers. Let's see what the fleets can do. If the fleet troopers are going to give Luke the chance of doing something impressive, they're going to have to do something impressive themselves. The fleet troopers are in a really tricky position. They can't get close enough to move and shoot. Their activation could be wasted. So they're going to climb. Climbing up this building will give them heavy cover and the ability to see what is on the other side of it. The death troopers will now spend their standby token to launch what is going to be a significant attack. They're going to use, instead of their long range config, they're going to use their light blaster, which is 2 whites at range 1 to 2. Rolling a hit and a crit, they will spend a name token to reroll not just 2, but 3 and a 4th, because they have precise 2. That adds another crit, and they convert to a hit. Heavy cover will cancel those 2 hits, so we're just rolling 2 white defense dice in return. 2 blank, that's 2 dead troopers. The lone fleet trooper will now respond with 2 white dice, scoring no hits. There's only one thing left in the bank, which must be Orson Krennic. Therefore, the toss was between Orson and the Death Troopers. The Death Troopers, having already shot at the Fleet Troopers, are going to withdraw. They withdraw to the back of the cantina, and using grappling hooks will now go up the building without suffering any ill effects, finishing their turn up really scuppering the plans of the rebels. The fight does not go well for the rebellion. Luke, being the last remaining choice for the rebels, now must activate. Let's see if he can make something happen. Struggling to captivate in what was promising to be a very dominant position, Luke has moved forwards and is going to use saber throw at the shore troopers on top of the cantina. Luke rolls 4 black dice, 2 crits, and a convert to a 3rd crit. They're going to defend all 3 of them. The shores respond with 1 save, however, due to Pierce 2, that will go, and that means 3 dead shore troopers. Much better than I was expecting. The last move of the turn will be Orson Krennic, coming out of the bag last, who will move forwards just enough to see the leader of the fleet troopers on top, and then will make an attack with a black, a right, white, and a red. He has sharpshooter 1, which brings it down to light cover. However, he is in heavy cover, so that's not enough. And that is the end of turn 2. Casualties were more numerous in this turn. We lost 3 shore troopers, a death trooper, and 2 snow troopers for the Empire. The rebellion, however, lost a full unit from the strike team and nearly a full squad of fleet troopers. So at the end of turn 2, we have a group of rebels, 2 squads in fact, on this long building, which is one of their key positions, and they are opposing death troopers and some flame troopers. We still have our strike team in their sniper nest, a lone gunman watching the field, a reckless or brave squad, depending on how you see things, and now, basically in the middle of the table, we have Luke and Sabine together, and a singular fleet trooper. The Empire have a key position held right at the back of the table, unlikely to be challenged, and in this central cantina, which is adjacent to but not touching another objective, we have shore troopers, mortar trooper, death troopers, more snipers, as well as the units on the opposing flank. We still have another squad of stormtroopers and Orson Krennic, all making a push on these fairly two close key positions. So here we are at the start of turn 3. If turn 2 left you cold, I am predicting big things for turn 3. Time to reveal our command cards. Looks like we've got a 1-pip versus a 3-pip, so we're gonna go to the Rebels. Rebels revealing you serve your master well, and the Empire revealing coordinated fire. In detail, the Rebel card gives an order to Luke Skywalker. Luke Skywalker gains as a free action, choose any non-special unit or operative unit at range 1 or a suppressed enemy non-special non-operative troop unit at range 1. Perform one free move or attack action with that unit. If that is an enemy unit, it can attack and start a melee with other enemy troopers. Sick. Cannot wait to see how that unfolds. And coordinated fire, 3 core units, and this is after a friendly core performs, after a core unit spends an aim token, another friendly unit at range 1 to 2 may gain 1 aim token. This could be very, very interesting. Where Luke was forced to not take action before, looks like he's got no choice but to. And he's going to do so against the power of a lot of tokens. Let's see how things go. Cannot wait. Luke Skywalker takes his order, the only unit to get his order this turn for the Rebels. The Empire has an easier time with issuing their tokens. Give it to 3 core units. The Snow's got a token. The Stormy's got a token. The other Stormy's got a token. And popping HQ uplink, the Shore Troopers get a token, and using coordinate they pass the token down to their emplacement trooper unit. Therefore, the only things left in the bag are going to be Krennic and Death Troopers and Snipers. Just for clarity, the Shore Troopers will get a name token, and as I spent their HQ uplink, we'll just flip that so we know that's been spent. The Rebels are going to go with Luke and get straight into this fight. Luke will perform a 2-speed maneuver, clearing the building and the barricades. Luke is in range 1 to 2 of the Stormtrooper unit at the top left of the screen. He's going to use Jedi Mind Trick and give them 2 suppression tokens. Luke is also in range 1 of the Snowtrooper squad. This squad is suppressed, satisfying the condition for you serve your master well. Luke is therefore able to instruct that unit to perform 1 free move or attack action. Luke is going to force the Snowtroopers to do a 1-speed maneuver towards the Death Troopers into a position where they can see them without any line of sight issues. Their final position has them face to face with the Death Troopers. However, steady is their keyword, and after you perform a move action you may perform a 3 ranged attack action. They are going to use 3 frag grenades and their flamer against the Death Troopers. Reroll. 1 crit, 1 hit, 1 hit. Okay, looking pretty good. And a surge. So they've rolled a total of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 hits against the Death Troopers. It's been done before. Death Troopers have survived this level of dice before. Let's see how they do. They defend on 1, 2, 3, and 4. They lose 2 models. 2 models down and a suppression token given. Now back to Luke. Luke isn't done with toying with the Empire yet. He still has a single activation left. He will move behind this wall and touching the objective. And when there, he's in a range 1 position to force the Sniper Troopers, who are just out of camera, shot there, to a force 1 move into the middle. We'll come back and show you what that looks like in a moment. Luke finishes his position turn 3, touching a mission objective and in hard cover and out of line of sight for an awful lot of things. He's managed to pull a scout trooper forwards and cohered them into maximum visibility. He has put 2 suppression tokens on this trooper unit using Jedi reflexes. Jedi mind trick rather, and using Usurp Your Master well was able to do a 1-speed manoeuvre with the snow troopers, who then following that executed an attack action on their own troopers, killing 2 death troopers. For one man, that is a lot of carnage that's been brought to the table. An excellent turn of events for Luke. He's now in a bit of a tricky position. Let's see how things get on when the Empire take their turn. After dealing with the shenanigans of Luke Skywalker, the Empire are going to issue an order to their shore troopers, who already have a name token. They will take a dodge token and then will shoot at Sabine, who is out in the open. Scoring 3 hits, the shore troopers will spend their aim token to reroll a black and a white. It was worth it, it happened out of the camera, but that's an extra crit and an extra hit. Sabine saves like a death trooper, so let's see how she gets on. Sabine spends her shield token to cancel one of them. We'll roll 4 red defense dice, surging to defense. Sabine takes a singular damage on a suppression token. Sabine has 5 health and a courage value of 2, so this will probably mean she's okay, and that shield token will refresh for the start of round 4. The rebels draw from the bag and pull a trooper. The rebels give an order to the red squad, who will take an aim token and shoot at the death troopers in the open at range 3 with 3 black dice. 4 black dice. Will spend their aim token for an extra hit. Suppression token takes it down to 2. 1 dies, 1 lives. And most importantly, that is their heavy weapon who goes. And another suppression. Well done, those rebels. The Empire have a 4 in 5 chance of pulling from the bag and pulling its Special Forces unit. Which they do. That'll be given to the Death Troopers. After seeing the damage Luke can do, the Death Troopers are going to aim and shoot at Sabine Wren, who's in heavy cover at the back there. They're going to use their suppressive weapon, so they'll be shooting 3 black dice, 2 reds and a white, including their heavy weapon. Let's see how it goes. Well, they've done pretty well. They're going to spend their aim token to re-roll the 1. That's missing. For another crit. That's 4 natural crits and 2 hits. So after heavy cover, Sabine will defending against 4 crits. There you go. Sabine needs to roll all of these to survive. She survived 3 of the 4. Sabine takes another wound token. She now has 3 remaining, but takes, most importantly, 2 additional suppression tokens, going past her threshold, so she'll have to start being limited by the number of actions she can perform when it's her turn to go. The rebels pull from the bag, revealing a Special Forces token, which will be given to the snipers in the foreground. The snipers will aim and shoot at the opposing snipers, which are now in the open. For the first action, they take an aim token, which they'll need because they blanked out. They convert defensively to a hit. However, the snipers were in heavy cover, so at best have been brought down to light cover and will only get a suppression token. The Empire still having options to pull from the bag and pull another Special Forces token. That is issued to the sniper in the lower of the screen, who will be taking a pot shot across the board at the sniper in cover. For the first action they aim, for the second action they shoot, scoring 2 hits. It's down to 1 due to cover. However, even if he'd saved that, the sniper rifle has pierce 1, and that takes this sniper off the table, leaving the rebels down another activation. The rebels pull from the bag and get another trooper unit. That's going to be given to the blue squad, who will take an aim token and shoot into the backs of the snow troopers. They roll 4 black dice, scoring hits on all but 1 of them, which they will spend their aim token to reroll for another hit. We'll cancel 1 for cover because of all the suppression the snow troopers have. However, they've got 3 to defend. They roll the defense dice, saving 2, not bad. However, that's another unit down. And another suppression token for that matter. The Empire will go with the snow troopers, who will begin their round by seeing if they flee or not. They manage to shed 1 suppression, equaling their courage value, and using Inspire 1, they will take suppression token off another unit at range 1 to 2, which they take off the Stormtrooper squad who got Jedi mind tricked. Down to 1 activation, they will move a speed 1 maneuver towards the rebels. Finish their move outside of range 1 of the rebels, so no frag grenades and flamer fun. However, they will roll 3 white dice into rebels in the open and see what they get. Let's see how the rebels do. They roll white defense dice, and one of the red squad dies, and they gain a suppression. The rebels pull from the bag and get their commander. The commander has no suppression, so his rally step is almost unimportant. However, Sabine Wren does, and she's in range 2, so he will use Inspire 1 and take a suppression from her. The commander finishes his turn by moving out of cover and using Take Cover 1 to give Sabine a dodge token. The Empire pull from the bag, pull another Special Forces token. This order is given to the Death Trooper, who will begin his turn by recovering, meaning he will lose his suppression tokens. The other impact of recovering not only removes suppression, but will also re-ready cards that have been spent. Therefore, offensive push becomes usable again. Therefore, his weapon can be reused. He will leave it, however, in its reconfigurable stance for the long range fire, and will use that again against the rebels now. It might only be 1 attack dice, but if it lands and hits the red squad, they will have 3 suppression and will be that much less of a threat for the next turn. Let's see how it goes. They convert to a hit. Let's see if it drops one of them. However, like it or not, they're now going to take a suppression token. They're already suppressed, so no need to roll any defense dice because that will be cancelled by the light cover given by this. However, they were technically being hit by it, so they will gain 1 for being hit and 2 for the suppressive nature of the weapon. The rebels pull from the bag, and this time we get an optic token. It's time for Sabine. But first she needs to rally to see how effective she's going to be. Sabine is at her courage threshold of 2. She needs to roll at least 1 of these to be able to get 2 activations. She gets neither, she's down to 1 activation. Let's see what she can do with that. We are about to see some Sabine madness. She has the Darksaber, and when you have the Darksaber, you gain Dauntless. After you rally, if you are suppressed but not panicked, which she is, you may gain 1 suppression token to form a free move action, which is exactly what she's going to do. Sabine has the rather alarming speed 3, so easily clears the barricades and lands in base contact with the enemy scouts. They are forced to cohere. That was Sabine's free action. For her actual action, she is going to use Electro Grappling Lines. Choose 1 enemy trooper unit at range 1 and in line of sight. It gains 2 mobilization tokens and 2 suppression tokens. Spend this card. These guys are going nowhere this turn. Sabine might be in the open now, however, the unit she's in contact with is completely immobilized and very suppressed, and I'm not entirely sure any unit's going to be able to double move into base contact with her to do any damage, and she certainly can't be shot at. While the tides of battle are still turning, the Empire still have activation control that they will utilise to try to turn the battle back in their favour. The Empire issue an order to their mortar unit, who will attempt to clamber, takes no damage, and goes up the ladders, and will take a standby token. The rebel activation is getting light. They pull from the bag, pull a trooper. The last remaining trooper on the board for the rebels is this yellow squad. They will attempt to rally to shed their suppression, which they do. Knowing the mortar trooper now has a suppression token, the troopers will try to shoot that off with 4 blacks. Rolling 2 hits, which will be cancelled for cover. The mortar unit will gain a suppression token. Its courage value of 2 means it will be able to return fire. Too close to use the mortar launcher will roll a single black dice, which scores a crit out of camera shot, which will now defend. They defend it, but will take another suppression token, meaning that they now can no longer have their second action and must stay there. The Empire have Krennic in the bag and still have 2 units unactivated, both Stormtrooper units, as you can see, and Krennic is there. The Empire will go with the Stormtrooper squad. Using Krennic's card of strict orders, when a friendly trooper unit with a face order token activates, during its rally step it may remove one suppression token instead of rolling any dice. Needing 2 actions to capitalise on the positions the rebels are in, they will utilise that without rally step. The stormtroopers will move through Krennic and around the building into the open, finishing their move with the red squad rebels in their line of sight. The rebels are in heavy cover. The Imperials are rolling 5 white dice. Let's see if we can get something through. That one is cocked, unfortunately, but we do have a crit. So after that, we have 1 crit to go to defend against, and they will take another suppression token. Crits are a wonderful thing in this game, being able to push damage even through heavy cover like the rebels are in. Let's see how they do. They roll nothing. There's another one off the table and another suppression token. With 4 suppression tokens, it will take something like a miracle for them not to run towards the nearest board edge on their next turn. The rebels pull from the bag. However, their turn is over. That was the last unit, and this one went off early on. That was the sniper that bought it on the other side of the table. It's back over to the Empire who have unrestricted turn time. The Empire start by pulling from the bag. They reveal Orson Krennic. Realising this game will not be won by strength of force, but by numbers and the ability to control key positions, Krennic moves out of cover to take a shot at the rebels. Krennic moves around the corner into range 2 of the red rebel squad in the lower right of the screen. He has sharpshooter 1, so he'll bring them down to light cover. Rolling a red, a white and a black, surging to crit. He rolls 2 hits, pierce 1 meaning that even had that been a successful roll, he would have pierced through it. The red squad takes another casualty and another suppression token. Pulling from the bag again, the Empire pull their last special forces. This, of course, goes to the scouts at the front. However, they are mobilised, locked in combat and very suppressed. However, they wouldn't run even if they could, as Krennic is standing by, and with a courage value of 2, they will use his, and it would need to be 4 suppression tokens for them to run right now. For their final activation, the Empire go with the stormtroopers, who have been holding this key objective at the back. However, this time, they're not going to stand their ground, they're going to advance. Not expecting the sniper to live so long, these troops have taken up position with the intention of staying there. They now, however, have the freedom to move, as the sniper is in a pretty safe and unassailable position. The stormtroopers move into range 3 of the yellow rebel squad in the lower left corner of the screen. They roll 5 attack dice. Let's see how they do. They score 1 hit, that is cancelled to cover. However, that is another suppression token for the rebels. So that is the end of turn 3. We saw a real change in fortunes for the rebels, being able to gain some significant ground and start to really hold their own. However, they're going to go into turn 4 extremely suppressed, whilst the Empire has a similar issue with only a small number of their units in comparison. This turn might have been significant for them, but can they hold the ground that they've made in turn 3? Turn 3 was costly, costing the Imperials 4 minis, 3 of which were Death Troopers. The Rebels lost under the activation when they lost the snipers and 3 troopers from the Red Squad, leaving it now just to a lonesome commander. Despite some heavy losses, particularly via friendly fire, the Empire is still in a strong position. They have a key position completely uncontended. There is a second in the middle behind this plume of smoke, which Death Troopers, Scouts, Krennic, Stormtroopers, Shore Troopers, Mortar Launcher are all within range of. And we have the third one, which is this building back here, where we have 2 Rebel Trooper units behind it, one of which greatly diminished and likely to panic at the table, whilst also being approached by the remnants of the Snow Troopers, and whilst out of camera, the last of the Death Troopers. The Rebels are going to struggle in turn 4, whilst they still have some troopers up in a sniper nest in a very good position. They have 2 squads down here who are either going to have to make a mad dash or just try to hold the position, making them very predictable for future turns. They've got a lone commander with very few tricks to offer, and on the far end of the table we have some more troopers who may be about to overrun, but are also in a great position to offer a counter-attack. And in the very middle we have Luke Skywalker, and we have Sabine Wren just out of camera, who are likely to continue to be the main players and the linchpin for the Rebel assault. And here we are back for the start of turn 4, and it's time for our command hands. Looks like we've got the Rebels going with Son of Skywalker, which is a single order to Luke Skywalker, and the Empire going with Voracious Ambitions, also a 1-pip. Let's take a closer look at the cards. Okie dokie then, so just a quick reminder, Krennic does have cunning as a keyword, therefore with them drawing 1 pips each, Krennic will take it because it's one of his order cards, and therefore he'll overdo Luke, so they will have priority. The card text is as follows: for Son of Skywalker, this issues an order to Luke Skywalker only, and after Luke performs his first attack, he may perform 1 additional attack. A really strong play by Luke, which can do significant things. Voracious Ambition, on the other hand, is directing Orson Krennic only, but it has a twist. At the start of the activation phase, place 3 random order tokens from your order pool face down on this card. You may look at these order tokens at any time. When you withdraw an order token from your pool, you may choose one of the order tokens on this card and use that order instead. So, just to unpack that slightly, instead of pulling from the bag, you can say, I'm going to take one of these 3 order tokens that are on my card. So you have very, very clear order control. It's like having 2 bags, but one of them is translucent and you can see exactly what's in it and pull it when you need to. But your opponent doesn't know. Okay, so this pit's just between us. The Rebel player has been sent out of the room to allow you to be brought into this. 3 tokens have been placed, been randomly pulled from the bag. That's 2 special forces and 1 core trooper choice. They'll be what's going to be placed face down on this card. And just a reminder, there's Orson Krennic with his face quarter token, very much in the thick of things, and not so far away from him, we've got Luke Skywalker on the other side of that wall. It's a hard toss-up for the Empire to decide what to do. Do they try to limit the enemy reactivations by activating them early and trying to destroy some squads before they can go, therefore making it harder for the Rebels to attack? Or do they try to take out the key units, which are clearly going to make a big play? They decided to going for the key units, making a big play. Drawing from the stack that was on Krennic's card, they pull 1 of their tokens, which is a special forces token. That will go with Death Troopers in the foreground there. The remaining 2 tokens will go back on Krennic's card, and the Death Troopers will take their activation. The Death Troopers are going to try to get the drop on Luke Skywalker. The range rulers are already down. The unit leader moves around the outside of the building and positions himself right on the very edge of this one. This is a very dangerous move in that the Death Troopers are now extremely close to Luke Skywalker when he has all these abilities to kill things. However, what they do have is a lot of white dice and every chance of getting some good crits through and doing some serious damage to him. We're allowing a small retcon there. These troops have not spent their free card action for offensive push, so have done that. Therefore, they moved forward and gained an aim token. They will now shoot at Luke, which will be what would be 6 white dice for the 3 without a weapon, and for the one with a heavy one, 2 red and 1 white dice. Let's get rolling. Here we go. A red defense dice have managed to be collected in the dice pool, but we re-rolled that, and that came out a hit, so we came out with 5 hits and 4 blanks. They'll spend their aim token because of precise 2. They will get to spend all 4 of those, so let's see what we get with that. That's 7 hits in total. We'll cancel 2 for heavy cover because, like it or not, Luke is in it, and let's see what he does against 5 dice. Luke will roll 5 dice, no surge to defense, no dodge tokens, so the Death Troopers aren't in a bad spot. Let's see what they can do to him. Luke dodges 2 and takes 3. Luke has a courage value of 4 and a health of 7, so even those 3 wounds he should be alright with. So the rebels are going to go with Luke. Luke will move for his first action, jumping into contact with the Death Troopers, forcing them to clear around him. For his attack, he will spend his recovered force push due to his Master of the Force. Being a range 1 with this squad, he will move that squad a range 1, and then he will attack the Death Troopers, and we'll see what happens. Luke's force pulled the Stormtroopers just underneath him now, and he will roll 7 black dice against the Death Troopers. Luke rolls 2 hits, 2 crits. Death Troopers rolling 4 red defense dice. The Death Troopers roll 3 defense dice in response. However, Luke has pierced 2, so 2 of those will die. Meaning that only 1 Death Trooper survives. They're down to the unit leader. Luke could have really done with that Death Trooper dying. He's now locked in combat. However, Luke has disengaged. He has 1 movement left and still has an attack he can do if he can get it. What can he do? Luke is going to disengage and appear through the cloud of smoke on the other side of the board and engage the Shore Troopers, who will be forced to cohere to him. Luke is now engaged and has his second attack, which he'll roll 7 black dice. Luke's black dice aren't giving him stellar results today, however he's got 3, that's what he needs to take the squad out. Shore Troopers roll red defense dice, let's see what they can do. Red dice do what red dice do, they scored 3 blocks, however this weapon is pierced 2, 2 of them will die, leaving again only the unit leader. Whilst the rebels may have preferred to completely annihilate both squads, in many ways it's not a bad thing that Luke's been able to stay in combat, so he is, unless that unit moves out of, disengages and moves out of combat with him, Luke isn't going to get shot at. And on this side of the board, there's not too much that could do a lot of damage to him. The Empire once again have activation supremacy, but in the interest of trying to force the direction of battle in their way, they elect to pull from Krennic's stack and will decide to go with the Trooper. The unit that was given the order is the Shore Troopers over here, who will spend their complete activation to move away from Luke and disengage, leaving Luke somewhat exposed. When Luke used his disengage action before, he is able to do a full move action. However, when you withdraw, you must spend all your activations to do a 1 speed maneuver. That is the best that the Shore Troopers can do right now. The rebels draw from the bag and are lucky enough to pull another operative. It is time for Sabine Wren. Sabine has her order tokens. The first thing she needs to do is rally to see if she can roll off that suppression. Sabine manages to shed 1 of them. That's going to give the ability to move uninhibited, as she has a courage value of 2. Sabine is in melee combat with the scout squad. She needs to attack them before she can do anything else. She's going to attack with the Darksaber, which is 5 black dice. Sabine scores 3 hits, 1 crit and a surge. The surge converts to a crit. I think those guys are going to die. Scout Troopers roll white defense dice with a surge to defend. Let's see how they got on. White dice do what white dice do. They actually do manage to get 2 blocks through. However, that's 3 of those hits that will go through, taking them off the table. Sabine is now in trouble in that she's in the open. However, she's going to perform one of her tricks, which is to do a jump 3 and to clear the Stormtroopers and to land engaged to them at their rear. Sabine's actions leave her surrounded, but she's pulled the Stormtroopers out of the open, out of firing range, and very much having to deal with her. The Empire pull from the bag and pull a trooper unit. The order will be issued to the Snow Troopers. Now is the time for the Snow Troopers to shine. They've got a courage value of 2 because the Imperial Officer. They move at speed 1, which they'll do, speed 1, and then they will move again. And they're using their steady keyword. They will be able to shoot at the end of this movement, which they will do, shooting at the Rebel Blue squad back here with a black dice per each model due to the flamer, and 2 red dice due to the frag grenades. It's about to get messy, let's see what happens. The black dice don't deliver as expected. They've rolled 1 surge and 3 blanks. Luckily they surged a hit, so that's 3 hits for the rebels to defend against. The rebels roll 3 white dice. They roll 1 blank and 2 surges. They surge to defense. 1 dies. That is all. Surprising. A suppression token, but otherwise, that is it. The Empire will once again pull from Krennic's mini stack, pulling the last remaining token, that is a specialist. They will go with this Death Trooper in the foreground. Clearly disappointed with the results from the Flamers, the Death Troopers are moving forwards into range 3 of the blue squad and will take a single shot with 1 black dice as they spent their config and are not able to get into range 2. They roll for a great big nothing. The rebels pull from the bag, pulling their commander. At the end of the commander's rally step, he will use Inspire 1, taking a suppression token from the heavily suppressed red squad. For his first action, they will move and will take a shot at the snowtrooper in the open. They'll roll a black and a white dice, scoring nothing. The Empire go with Orson Krennic, hoping he can even the odds. He's able to get into range 1 to 2 of the blue squad. He'll take a shot at them. Krennic rolls a red, white and a black, converting from a surge to a crit with Pierce 1 and Sharpshooter 1. He's going to bring them down to light cover as they are currently in heavy cover because of the position of the building. More poor dice variants. Unfortunately, nothing goes through because this will be cancelled for cover, meaning that they only take a suppression token. Once again, the rebels pull from the bag, pulling another trooper unit. The rebels will give their order to the yellow squad in the foreground, who first of all will attempt to rally to shed that suppression, which they don't. They're down to 1 action. They will therefore move from their barricade into cover just behind the building, finishing their turn. The Empire pull from the bag, revealing a special forces unit. As both the Death Troopers have gone and his sniper counterparts were killed, it can only be this guy guarding the back objective. The Scout Trooper will therefore move slightly around this rock, maintaining cover but able to get a shot on a Luke Skywalker, and they'll shoot 2 black dice. They roll 1 hit. Unfortunately, heavy cover will cancel that. It will be another suppression for Luke, but it will not make any difference with a courage value of 4. We are back to the rebels, who pull from the bag, revealing a special forces unit. That can only be their sniper at this point. The order goes to the snipers, who will aim and shoot. The snipers have a Death Trooper in their line of sights. They roll a black and a white with a name token, scoring 1 crit. They will spend their next token, so the aim token, to reroll the white for another blank. But still, that Death Trooper has to defend. We're not going to move the camera for this one. The Death Trooper does defend, however this weapon has Pierce 1. That Death Trooper is now out of the game. The Empire pull from the bag, revealing a trooper unit. They will give this to the Stormtroopers on the far left of the screen. Where Luke Skywalker has positioned himself, he's now put himself in a position where this key position could be challenged. Luke is too much of a threat. The Stormtroopers will move, but only to keep in base contact with the heavy cover, and will roll 5 white dice at Luke. Rolling 1 crit, a hit and a surge. Not bad for a bunch of white dice, however that will cancel down just the 1 crit. Luke will roll. He takes another wound and he takes another suppression token. Those Stormies have done well. Pulling from the bag, the rebels pull another trooper squad. The order is given to the blue squad at the back. Their first action will be to rally to see if they can get rid of their suppression tokens. However, their unit leader, commander rather, is within range, therefore they won't be running at this point even if they fail this. Miraculously, they lose both suppression tokens. They're going to be able to aim and fire at the snow troopers in close range. They'll roll 3 black dice, will spend the aim token for 2. Snowtroopers defend. Rolling 2 defense, but taking a suppression token. Pulling from the bag again, the Empire reveal a Special Forces token. However, there's no more left to take this, so they will pull from the bag again. This time they pull a trooper unit. The order token will be given to the Stormtroopers who are in melee combat with Sabine. They will attack her with an aim token and 5 black dice as they're in hand-to-hand combat. Let's see what they can do in close combat. That's 3 so far. We'll spend the aim token for another 2. Sabine's already lost 2 health and she's got to successfully defend against 3 of these in order to live to the next turn. Oh, she does not! The Stormtroopers have killed Sabine. There's been some astonishing variance in this game. I think certainly those red dice failing has got to be a primary example. The rebels pull their last order token, which will go to the red squad. Their first job is to roll to see if they can shed their suppression. They do not, therefore they are down to potentially running. However, because they are in range of their commander, they will use their commander's courage value, so they are merely reduced by 1 action rather than running off the board. They will, therefore, take a shot at the Death Trooper across the table. They get a hit, and the Death Trooper will roll. Nothing! That's another squad of Death Troopers off the table. And that ends the rebel activations, so it's now just over to the Empire to mop up. The Empire started with a 2 activation lead at the start of this round. They are now finishing barely above. Their last unit is a trooper unit, which will go to the mortar launcher. The mortar launcher has only 2 targets. Either he can shoot across the building into his furthest range and try to shoot at the rebel commander, who is just visible in very heavy cover, or he can try for a bit of dice variance himself and aim and shoot at Luke. And that's what he's going to do. He's going to roll a black dice with an aim token, and let's see how it goes. Spending the aim token. Nothing. And that is the end of turn 4. We have seen some significant changes in the fortune of the rebels and the Empire, and the dice have really not been playing ball and have forgotten what statistics mean, it would seem. The Empire have lost a squad of Death Troopers, a squad of Scout Troopers, the last of a squad of Death Troopers, and most of a squad of Shore Troopers. But most importantly, this brings them down by 3 whole activations for the next round. The rebels, on the other hand, lost a single trooper from the blue squad, but of course Sabine Wren fell to the fists of fury from a very diligent Stormtrooper squad. Here we are at the start of turn 5, and it's the command hand. Time to reveal. Rebels go with My Allies the Force, which is a 2-pip, issuing orders to 2 troopers, and the Empire go with a 1-pip, issuing orders to 1 trooper. Nothing fancy about the card Ambush, that's your standard one that everyone's familiar with. My Allies the Force is when a friendly trooper unit is issued an order, it gains 1 dodge token. The rebels give their respective orders to Luke Skywalker, who is a trooper according to his card information, and to the yellow squad, who are now in a stone's throw to the key position. The Empire give their orders to their Stormtroopers, who seem to have sights on Luke Skywalker, who's in the top left of the screen. It's the first activation of turn 1. The Empire have activation with their 1-pip, and they will go with their Stormtroopers. The Stormtroopers will take an aim and will fire at Luke Skywalker, hoping to take him out of the game or make him less of a threat. Scoring a hit and a crit, they'll spend their aim token to spend the remaining 3 white dice, use precise 1. They surge to a hit, however they will be cancelled for light cover, leaving the crit, so Luke will roll 1 red defense dice. With it being a crit, Luke can't spend his dodge token, so he's got to roll. He fails to save it. Luke takes another wound token, bringing up to 5 wounds and a total of 7 health. The rebels will go with Luke. For Luke's first action, he's going to force push the mortar trooper unit in front of him. It will do a speed 1 maneuver. Luke will flip his force push card, and it will finish its movement there. And force push is a free action, so Luke still has his activations left. Next up, Luke will move at speed 2 into melee combat with the shore trooper. Note he did not do his jump action. Luke now is going to use charge to perform a free attack against the mortar trooper, rolling 7 black dice. The force is not so much with Luke there. He only scores 2 hits out of the possible 7. However, he has pierce 2, so that mortar launcher trooper will take 2 damage. And using his second activation and his keyword disengage, along with jump 2, Luke will jump off the back of the building into base contact with the central key position, finishing his turn in a very hard to get position. The Empire pull from the bag, pulling a trooper unit. The order will be given to the snow troopers. The snows have 1 suppression token, but with a courage value of 2 with their unit leader, it won't affect them, so that for the first action they will take an aim token. For their second action, they will perform a move action, moving them around the back of the red squad, in front of the blue squad, and touching the building. I got a little bit excited, so I forgot to roll for suppression. We'll do that now. They lose the suppression anyway. They will now use their flamethrower and 2 frag grenades at the blue squad. So that is 3 blacks and 2 reds. Spend their aim token to reroll the single black that didn't hit, which still misses, leaving 2 reds and 2 blacks to defend against. We will cancel 1 due to light cover because of the suppression token that the rebels are still carrying. They'll roll 3 white dice. Rebels need to roll all 3 of these not to be obliterated. Let's see how they do. Well, they roll 1. We're down to the unit leader, but it is another suppression token, and that is the end of the snow troopers activation. Certainly doing good things for the Empire. Possibly the perfect time for this. The rebels pull from the stack and pull their unit commander. The commander rallies. He will remove 1 suppression token from the blue squad. He will use take cover 1 to issue a dodge token to the red squad at the front, and he will shoot a black and a white into the snow troopers, scoring nothing, and that is the end of the commander's activation. The Empire pull from the bag, revealing another trooper unit. The Empire issue their order token to the stormtroopers. The first action, the stormtroopers will move, having the option to threaten both key positions, the central one currently guarded by Luke and the one nearest to the rebel deployment zone. They're opting to stay where they are and to shoot at the red squad in the bottom right of the corner. Perhaps they're feeling bold from being able to punch Sabine to death in the previous turn, but they're going to shoot at the red squad in heavy cover with a dodge token with 5 white dice. Scoring 3 hits. 2 will be cancelled for heavy cover. The rebel player spends his dodge token to cancel the last one. Because of nimble, they will get their dodge token back again. Not being quite as lucky as last time, they end their activation there. However, they're in a great position to challenge both objective tokens for turn 6, making it harder for the rebels to guarantee which they can secure, if indeed even either of them can be secured at this point. The rebels pull from the bag, revealing a special forces token, which will have to go to these snipers. The snipers find themselves in an unlikely position where both models can get a shot, and this will be at the mortar launcher. For the first action, they will take an aim. For the second, they will shoot with a black and a white for the sniper rifle and an additional black dice for the other sniper. Scoring only 1, they'll spend their aim token to try and push through some more. They convert to a hit, so we've got 2 hits and a crit. They have sharpshooters, so they will bring that unit down to light cover, so we will cancel 1, and he will have to roll 2 defense dice. He's already got 2 wounds, so it's academic at this point, but we'll roll 2 reds to see what happens. He defends 1, so he's dead. And even if he defended both because of Pierce, he would have taken that third wound and he would have died. That takes the shore trooper out of there. And that ends the sniper's turn. Once again, the Empire pull from the bag, and once again they reveal a trooper unit. Due to the recent demise of his fellow mortar launcher, the only available trooper unit left is the single shore trooper. The shore trooper will move to the very edge of the building for its first action, and for its second will dodge, ending their activation there. Pulling from the bag, the rebels reveal another trooper unit. It becomes a more difficult choice the later in the game it gets, but the rebels give their order token to the blue squad, who will first of all attempt to rally, which they do not. They will keep their suppression token. So for their first and only action, they will move to the other side of the wall of the building, will make them maintain contact with the building shortly, but they will maintain their suppression and end their activation there. And so they finish their activation hunkered down, hoping to maintain contact with that piece of terrain. Pulling from the bag, the Empire reveal their commander. Needing to equal the odds, Orson Krennic's first action will be to move towards the building. He is now in base contact with the building and will shoot at the red trooper all on his own. Orson hasn't had much luck with this gun the entire game, however he does convert from surge to a crit. He has Pierce 1 and Sharpshooter 1. He has got the best chance of taking that rebel player off the table. Rolling his best die roll of the game, converting 1 to a crit and 2 hits, we will lose 1 for Sharpshooter 1 down to 2. The rebel will spend their dodge token to lose the hit, and it all comes down to, can they roll this single hit? And they do. Unbelievably, they manage to survive, but it is another suppression token. And Orson Krennic ends his turn. Pulling from the bag, the last bagged activation for the rebels is another trooper unit that has to go to the red squad. First things first, let's see if they can roll off all that suppression. Let's see what they can do. Rolling off 2 out of the 3. Impressive stuff. Managing to survive Krennic's attacks and holding his nerve against quite a lot of suppression, the rebel trooper will do a single activation to move around the corner as far as they can. And finishing their activation, huddled against the building, but holding that key objective. The Empire pull from the stack once again, revealing another trooper unit. However, that is the mortar launch that fell earlier on, so they will have to pull once again. And this time they reveal a special forces trooper who is their lone sniper on the grassy knoll. There's not a lot the sniper can do from this position. The best they can hope for is to move up and onto the rock and try to get a shot off at something across the table. We've measured it, we've checked line of sight, and we've moved him around to try to get the maximum position, and at best he is half a centimetre out from being able to shoot at the blue squad. However, there's no way he can get line of sight to them, so the best he can hope for is to sit there and be a deterrent and hold that position for turn 6. There is nothing left in the rebel bag, so they will have to go with this unit here, who will first of all perform a move to get into base contact with the key position. Because they are cheating rebel scum, they have cohered in such a way around the key position, it seems very unlikely that anything else will be able to get into base contact with it. For their next action, they will shoot at the remaining shore trooper with 4 black dice. He is in heavy cover with a dodge token, so let's see how well they can do. They roll 1 hit and 2 surges. They only surge defensively, so that will be cancelled by heavy cover. However, it will give a suppression token to the shore trooper. They end their activation there, and that ends turn 5. The death count slowed quite a bit down for the Empire, leaving only the shore trooper a victim of this turn. The rebels only lost 2 troopers from the blue squad. Not particularly bloody for them either. As we enter turn 6, it's worthwhile remembering what the victory conditions are for this turn. Victory. At the end of the game, for each terrain piece with an objective token, the player who has the most unit leaders in base contact with the terrain piece gains 1 victory token. This key position is likely to be uncontested, giving the stormtroopers the ability to see if they can push on any of the others. On the other side of the table we have our other key position. At present we have the red squad, the blue squad and their commander all in base contact with it. However, this one is contended by the snowtroopers. Orson Krennic also contends the terrain. And in a threatening position, the stormtroopers, who are close enough to either objective to be a threat to them. Lastly, the central objective that the rebels have thrown everything into securing and holding fast. But will the Empire be able to move them from it? Going into turn 6, the rebels have 3 trooper units, 1 special forces sniper, their Rebleofficer commander, and operative Luke Skywalker. 6 activations. Let's see how things shape up for the Empire. And the Empire has 4 trooper units, 1 special forces, and Orson Krennic. 6 activations for turn 6. Certainly outdoing the rebels in terms of numbers of bodies, but equaling them in terms of activations, so can they make those bodies count? And now for the final command hand of the game. The rebels go with a 3-pip I'm a Jedi, which gives an order to Luke Skywalker, and the Empire go with a 2-pip, which gives 2 units an order. Luke's card reads as follows. Luke Skywalker gains Surge on defense to a block and cannot perform any attacks. When he is issued an order, he may choose up to 2 enemy trooper units at range 1. Those units cannot perform any attacks. The Empire have priority for this turn. They issue their first order to Orson Krennic and their second order to the Special Forces Sniper on the key position. The effect of issuing orders to those units in that way is all that remains in the bag is 4 trooper units. Essentially at round 6, the Empire have complete activation control, and the rebels can only give their order to Luke Skywalker. And when the rebels issued their order to Luke, he decided to make the stormtroopers and the single shore trooper unable to perform attacks this turn. The Empire pull from the stack, and that order will go to the snowtroopers. The snowtroopers are going to take an aim token and then perform a 1 speed movement activation, staying in contact with the building, but not going to base contact with the rebel squad. Using their keyword steady, they will now be able to perform an attack action. They will split their actions. The flame trooper will attack the blue squad at the back with a single black dice. He surges to hit. The rebels need to save this. They don't, the blue squad's dead. The remaining unit will shoot at the red squad with 2 frag grenades. A hit and a crit. Looks like that aim token wasn't going to be needed after all. The rebels need to make the save to stay in the game. Unfortunately for them, they do not. The red squad is also out. The snowtroopers end their activation, which with what might have been their finest hour. The rebels pull from the bag and pull a trooper unit, and what moments ago was a choice between 3 is now a choice between 1. The order must now go to the yellow squad. And now the rebel order must only go to the yellow squad. The yellow squad will try to take out the stormtroopers. They can only see so many of them, but maybe they can trim the herd and give them a suppression token. So firstly, they will take an aim, and then they will roll 3 black dice, as not so often you can see them. Scoring nothing, they will re-roll the 2 blanks for 2 hits. Stormtroopers are in heavy cover, so won't roll to defend, but will take a suppression token. And the yellow squad end their activation there. The Empire now pull from their stack and will issue an order to the suppressed and unable to attack squad of stormtroopers. Their first action will be to attempt to rally, which they do. They will get both their actions. For their first action, they will move once into contact with the building and twice, getting themselves firmly out of danger and ending their activation. The rebels pull from the bag, revealing their special forces that will go to the snipers. They have visibility on the lone shore trooper. They will aim and fire. They'll spend their aim token to re-roll the white dice for nothing. The shore trooper is in light cover after sharpshooter 1. However, light cover will cancel the single hit that went through, meaning that it's only a suppression token for the shore trooper. And the snipers have a disappointing end to their game. The next activation will be Orson Krennic. He will, for his first action, move around the side of the building. Unfortunately, he couldn't maintain contact with the building and visibility of the rebel commander, so he will move into contact with the building around this side and end his activation there. The rebels pull from the bag, pulling a trooper unit that is dead. They try again, pulling their commander. There's very little the commander can do at this point, so in a fit of rage he will charge into the snow troopers and engage them in physical combat and see if he can exact vengeance for the murder of 2 squads around him. He gets a hit and one of them dies. I'm sure he feels great about it. The Empire pull from the stack and will give this unit of stormtroopers an order. The stormtroopers are very much out of position, and even at their best speed, they can't get close enough to positively or negatively impact either side's attempt to hold the central objective. And they end their activation there. Luke is going to have to make an incredible gamble here to keep this game going in the Rebels' direction, if at all that is even possible anymore. He will start off by jumping out of the positions he's in, into contact with the other building. Luke jumps from out of cover. He is touching the other key position now, and he will use force push to move the stormtroopers off the key position. They now are no longer scoring points, leaving it tied 2-2 on this key position. The gamble is, however, now there is a shore trooper who's in a position where he can theoretically drop down on the position and challenge the rebels for that one. The Empire now will, of course, issue their order. The shore trooper, who will attempt to rally and is able to do it. The shore trooper will now spend both his actions to climb down the building into contact with this key position and contending this one. The very last activation of the game is this sniper at the back of the field, who can literally do nothing other than shoot his rifle into the air a few times and celebrate. And at the end of turn 6, points are as follows. 1 victory token for the Empire for this uncontested key position. 1 victory token for the Empire. 1 victory token for the Alliance. The central key position. This key position, the one that nobody expected. 2 victory tokens for the Empire. And 2 victory tokens for the Rebel Alliance. The final scores are 5-4 to the Empire. Victory to the Empire. And at the end of turn 6, a singular snowtrooper. And the Rebels lost 2 minis. However, these were 2 of the most decisive minis in the entire game. And that's it. The Empire win by 1 victory point to 0. A really tight game. I think it's surprising that it was so close when the games first set up and the Rebels were in the position they were behind some big buildings that meant they had to be funneled around either side, and the Empire had such a clear objective that they could hold, and the central one, whilst it was Not dead easy for them to get to with a kind of gun line and the numbers they had with death troopers and flamers. It seemed like naturally that was going to be something they would hold easily. And in the end, it came down to a single shore trooper contesting that. And it just goes to show how rapidly the game can spin out. We start off with turn one. I think a lot of the recon intel meant that when Krennic used his Annihilation Looms card, the suppression didn't really pay off big. So it's got to be something that just goes to show how it can sometimes land and sometimes just be wide of the mark. And the benefit of key positions because they'd already got themselves much closer to where they wanted to be and into position, which was good for them. But as the game progressed, turn two, Luke held back far too much, and I think in the end, the card he kind of drew is a really powerful card, and he probably could have forced jumping into the middle of things and soaking up some damage to give the opportunity for his troops to get into a better position instead of having to hold back so much themselves, which is something to kind of be reflected upon. And I believe that we kind of basically didn't really use the Imperial card, which was the one where you pass out aim tokens as you shoot. I think that was kind of just overlooked somewhat. It didn't really come into play much for luckily, watching the video back, I don't think there was many opportunities where we could have used that, but it is what it is. And as the game progressed, we had turn three started getting really bloody. I really thought it was turning tides and the rebels were going to get it. Luke did some really good stuff. He was a bit out of position, but dealing with the death troopers and then disengaging from them and taking out the shore troopers, I thought that was a really good play. And it was kind of good to see. And then again with the rebels, even at the start of turn four, where we had Luke use what's the name of the card? You serve your master well, and he had the flame troopers suppressed, and then went to go attack the death troopers, and they kind of wiped out half of the squad. It was really, really good, and then he's jumping around some really good stuff. But then Sabine bought it, and then the rebels very much lost one of their linchpins, and they're down to not a lot when you think they'd already lost the fleet troopers, and they just had like bare bones squads. It got really kind of interesting, really tasty, and the Empire still had all its stormtroopers on the table. Didn't really lose any of them in the end. Well, bar one. And the flamers then started going on to the later turns, start really bringing the pain. And when by the time we got to turn six, we had the flame troopers or stormtroopers blatting two squads, and had that not worked out, then that would have been a victory point for the rebels, and it would have been a 1 point all draw. The game went in either direction, and I'm sure there's people out there who are genuinely very good players, very competitive players, who might say, "Nah, I shouldn't have done that," or "You should have done this," and bring it in the comments. Please let me know, because I've not done this for my learning, but it's great to learn. And if anyone wants to kind of read them and think, "Oh yeah, I suppose I could have done that," or "that you should have done that," that would be really interesting to see what your takes are. Particularly if we think the rebels could have swung it. There's a few bits and pieces with the yellow squad shooting at the stormtroopers in the opening in one of the later turns, 5 or 6, when they should have shot at the shore trooper who was on the roof, and had they been able to kill him, they would have been able to hold that position. That would have been another point in their favour. So there's just these little moments where something could have been done differently, which might have kind of spanned the game out, because had they shot the shore trooper, even with the stormtroopers who kind of moved on to what you might have called their key position in that long thin building, Luke was still able to force push them off. So there was still the ability for them to be kind of dealt with, and that was maybe lacking a bit of foresight. Anyway, that's the way the game goes. It's what makes it fun, and why you could play this one again and not say it's a dead certain the Empire would win. But certainly, going forwards, it kind of just makes me think about how you might deploy. I think the Empire did deploy well. I think they maybe overcommitted to one side of the table, and the mortar launch wasn't well used in the entire game. But I think that was misplaced first of all, and went down probably too early. That should have gone somewhere else, maybe gone down the opposite flank on the right hand side. But it is what it is again. You don't know where people can deploy when things start going down. But a lot of fun, really enjoyable. Now, as for next battle reps, essentially, as you can see behind you, I've got shelves of Legion stuff, so I've got enough to be running armies for every type. Probably a little more limited when it comes down to clones and droids at this point, just because of the amount of stuff that's out. But certainly with Rebels and Empire, you'd be able to have mirror matches. So how I'm going to be doing it is I'm going to use a random number generator. I think it's like 1 to 4, and it's like Rebels, Empire, Republic, clones is like the number sequence. So essentially what's happened, or what is going to happen next time, is I've already ran the number generator. So as it happens, we're going to have a clones and Republic face off. Clones Republic, kind of a Republic versus the Separatists. There we go, got my words right in the end. And that's going to be the next game we fight. So that'll be something to enjoy. And then in the interim, I've been looking forward to getting out some of the terrain pieces to run some of the narrative campaigns regarding the crashed escape pod, the downed ATST, and the bunker. I think those are ones that have kind of been overlooked a little bit, and it'd be nice just to run those out and, well, essentially use the money I've spent on them. Okay, that's it. I hope you really enjoyed that. I really, really do. I've tried to put in as much effort as I could to make this as pacey and still feel quite dramatic, if it's possible with a miniature game to be dramatic, but I tried anyway. So please give me some comments, like, subscribe. Hopefully we'll be on 1,000 subscribers, or very, very near, and we will unlock the third tier of our competition. If you don't know what that is, go and check out the Blamethedicewargaming Facebook post and page. And you can go see what's in the offing in terms of a fantastic competition we'll be running in a bid to get us over that magic 1,000 subscribers mark. Anyway, thank you for watching. See you again next time. I hope you're staying well. Bye for now.